Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and today we are going to talk about 5 things that you should not be doing in your garden during the winter. Just a few days ago we did a video on 5 things that you should be doing or you can be doing in your garden as long as the weather permits. And we talked about that there's going to be a couple of things that you do not want to be doing. So that's what we're going to cover today. Number 1 on the list that you should not be doing in your winter garden is fertilizing your perennials, trees, and shrubs. Winter is a time of dormancy for your plants. There is a lot of active root growth, but you don't see a lot of or any top foliar growth. So your fertilizer's main purpose is to give lots of new growth to the top of your plant. We do not want to do that at this point in the season. The perfect time to apply your fertilizer for your plants is coming out of winter and going into spring. Much like you think of like a bear when it hibernates in the winter, right? It wakes up and it's very hungry. So are your plants. The perfect time to fertilize them is at that point. You can use a great slow release fertilizer. Of course, all the espoma tones are wonderful to use. If you have annuals, maybe you have some pansies, violas, those kinds of things in your yard and they're looking a little sad after the winter season, you want to give them a shot of good food, that is the perfect time to do it. Again, winter time is a time of root growth, not the top foliage growth, and that's what your fertilizers all will do, is to encourage the new growth and not the root growth. For example, here in North Carolina, in the South, we are experiencing a heat wave, and some of our plants have started to wake up. Now, we're not fertilizing, but they think, oh my gosh, it's spring, and they're starting to put on some new growth. Well, guess what? In a couple of days, the low is going to be 27. All of that new growth is going to get absolutely fried and killed back. So when spring does come again, or for real this time, the plant is going to have to start producing new growth to take care of the growth that it got fried. So do not fertilize your plants right now. Wait till end of winter going into spring. The second thing that you should not be doing in your garden right now is pruning your shrubs. So many times people want to get out there and get in your garden and get in the yard and tidy things up. That's wonderful, but do not begin pruning your shrubs. Again, this is a time of dormancy, and so if you prune things, then they're going to look a little sad. Possibly if you prune them really hard, they're going to look a little thin and sparse until the spring comes. Also, a lot of your shrubs, especially your flowering shrubs, will bloom on old growth. So if you go in there right now, let's say you have azaleas and they're a little wild, they're a little out of control, and you want to prune them. You trim them back right now, you have just cut off all your blooms for the spring season. There are so many flowering shrubs that bloom on old growth. So that would include azaleas, camellias, gardenias, tea olives, a whole host of things. We will have a graphic at the end of the video that you can take a screenshot of. So do not be pruning your shrubs now. If you have a flowering shrub, the best time to prune those is immediately right after they bloom. So if you need to prune it, then that's the perfect time to do it. If it's a good size and it's a good shape, just leave it alone. So again, the best time to prune plants, shrubs, is when you're coming out of winter, going into spring, or immediately right after they bloom. The third thing that you should not be doing in your winter garden right now is trimming certain perennials. Now, in the video we did earlier about 5 things to do in your garden, we talked about pruning back, trimming back a lot of perennials. Well, there are certain perennials that you should not prune at this time of year. Those include your evergreen perennials. So we talked about in that video the Nephophia, that you don't want to prune that back because it is an evergreen. Your lavender, your butterfly bushes, your evergreen ferns like my holly fern, I don't want to prune that right now. Your eucharas or your coral bells, those are all things that you do not want to prune right now. The best time to prune those would again be in springtime. Once you see new growth coming from the plants, then you can trim them back. So hold off trimming your evergreen perennials for right now. Another set of perennials that you do not want to prune back right now are perennials that simply give you winter interest. So maybe that is your perennial grasses. You've got desert plains in your yard. You've got some gorgeous grasses that are perennials that provide you winter interest. You can certainly leave those up again until late winter, early spring before you get new growth and trim them back. Also, if you have echinaceas in your yard, the birds actually love to eat the old seeds off of the plant. Again, lots of great winter interest, so you can leave those as well. So, yes, there are perennials that you can prune back in your yard, but there are certain ones, again, that you do not want to prune back. Again, I will have a list for you at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. The fourth thing that you do not want to be doing in your garden right now is planting warm season, hot weather loving perennials. This is a time of dormancy, and when you are planting hot weather loving plants, the temperatures simply are not warm enough for them to get some active root growth. So you're kind of setting them up for a failure, and you as a gardener are setting yourself up for failure if you go ahead and plant those now. So what am I talking about? What are hot weather loving perennials? That could be your echinacea, your solidagos, your warm weather grasses, your canna lilies, your elephant ears. All of those need to wait until springtime, your temperatures begin to warm back up before you add those into your garden. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that you can't plant certain things in your yard. You can, just not your hot weather loving perennials, because again, this would not be a time where their roots would really grow and be active and get established. So wait until spring, temperatures are more moderate, more even, and then you can go ahead and begin planting them. And then the fifth thing goes really along with number 4. If you already have those plants in your yard, this is not the time to begin transplanting them. So we have elephant ears and canna lilies in our garden. If I want to move them from point A to point B, this is not the time to do it. Again, because basically you're acting like you're planting new ones, right? You're going to wait until you get those nice warm spring temperatures before you begin transplanting any of those hot weather perennials in your garden. Just you think about those plants. What is the conditions that they really thrive in, and then wait for those conditions to happen and then begin with that. So I hope you have found this helpful. If you need to refer to the things that you can do in your garden, of course, I will have that video linked in the description below. But as always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. Get outside in your garden, even if it's wintertime. See y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.